Who is Big Balls? Teen Doge engineer Edward Correstein. There's been a little bit of a hubbub recently in the name of someone by Big Balls, and as also someone with big balls, finally, a worthy opponent. Our battle will be legendary. But anyway, a 19-year-old with a concerning hacker background. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, the Doge team that is run by Elon Musk out of the White House, it stands for the Department of Government Efficiency. They are basically going around and seeing where all the money's being paid, and it turns out that a metric ton of money was being paid to just random, absolutely stupid things all over the place, and there was just so much government wastage, which is why it's taken them so long to sift through all the nonsense. And basically, it's a bunch of teenagers and people in their early 20s who are sitting down with these 40, 50-year-old government employees, and they're essentially doing the office space. So what would you say it is you do here? I'm a people person, like that. Basically, and it's after they're getting like 15-minute interviews, and they're deciding from the 15-minute interviews whether or not this person gets sacked. Right, and the government is furious about it. I think it's the funniest thing that I've ever seen. I've said very, many, many times in my entire YouTube career, if there is hope, it lies with the Zoomers. Right? And yeah, the governments waste money all the time. That's what they do. That's why whenever you pay £20 in taxation to the government, you get £1 of service back 9 months from now, maybe. Because so much of it is being wasted. Like, the government is essentially just a way for people to fill their pockets. That's all it's ever been, and all it ever will be. They want to be able to go in there, do their little 4-year stint, enrich themselves, and then bugger off at the end of it, get a job at some bank or think tank or something, leaving the entire country worse off in the process, because they just genuinely don't care. They care about filling their pockets. So yeah, I want them to clamp down on it. Also, there's a theory that Musk might get Ron Paul to audit the IRS. I'll come. I'll come if that happens. Like, I'm being serious. Just watching him walk in there like Vince McMahon. The Vince McMahon walk. It's me, Austin. Son of a bitch. Like, I'm desperate. I need that to happen. But anyway, let's get into the article, because basically Big Balls get fired from the Doge team because I believe some social media accounts of his were discovered where he said some rather spicy and naughty things. And that's leftist nonsense when you're firing people for what they say in social media. Right? My stuff would be fired like a million times over for the stuff that they post on social media. I'm still waiting for someone to contact me as their employer and going, did you know that he was online denying the Holocaust? And I'm like, damn, I'm going to give him the day off. No, but yeah. So let's just get the article before I say something that will get me in trouble. A 19-year-old with a concerning hacker background, known online as Big Boss, is working as part of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. One former FBI agent has said that he would not have recommended Edward Correstein for government work, knowing his work experience to date. Newsweek contacted Elon Musk via Twitter for comment on how Correstein was appointed to his position. Why it matters. Correstein's recruitment to Musk's team, which was commissioned by President Donald Trump to recommend ways to cut down on government spending, symbolises the new administration's unconventional approach to government reform. Well, I think it should be. I do think that the entire system should be reformed by the people that are going to inherit it one day. I think it should be. I think it should. Too many old people. I'm kidding on. Doge has quickly become one of the most important additions to President Trump's new administration, with Musk's advice being the driving force behind the USAID shutdown. It represents Trump's election promises to cut back on federal spending and the deep state. What to know? Previously, it was reported that Doge staff had received equivalent training and security clearance to federal employees who work with sensitive information. However, the White House has not confirmed if Correstein has received these clearances, and that was one of the biggest complaints that people were making. Oh, the Doge team has access to all of my personal information. Literally every single government agency has. And they've got like 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds all working for them. So why is it fine for literally every single other government body to have access to your information, but then another government body, but it's not run by someone you like, is not allowed access to the information which they require in order to be able to do their job? You never piped up about it before. The American government has all your information. It has mine. It has information from people all over the world. It's why everybody's like kicking off about China, because over here in Britain we have something called the Data Protection Act, where basically companies aren't allowed to do a lot of woo-woo fuckery with your data. But whenever you download like a Chinese app or a Chinese game or like TikTok, where basically because it's partly owned by loads of Chinese companies, there's a rule in China where whatever companies are based in China, the Chinese government must have full access to all of their data. And China doesn't have data protection laws when it comes to people that live outside of China. So that basically means that whenever your data from the West gets sent to China, they can do whatever the hell they want with it. Which is why it was seen as a huge problem and why they were basically trying to ban TikTok and other such apps. But anyway, let's carry on with this. Coristine, a high school graduate with a history of launching startups, has founded at least 5 companies across multiple jurisdictions, including Connecticut, Delaware, and the United Kingdom. However, many of these ventures were absent from his now deleted LinkedIn profile. In 2022, he worked briefly for Path Network, a network monitoring company known for hiring former hackers. Oh my god, are they trying to go, he was a hacker and this company hired him? Cool, shut down Twitter, Facebook, and literally every single other fucking online company. They all do it. They all do it. Back in the day, like in the 90s and early 2000s, whenever a hacker hacked a company, that company would, if they were a bitch, they would report the hacker to the police. But a lot of them would go, hey, do you want a job? That's the way it used to be back in the day. I mean, the government even now, like, hire hackers based on this. And it's like, hey, you did a very, very naughty thing with this big company. Ooh, you're looking at 20 years. However, we can make all of that go away. Put on the suit, buddy. Like, yeah, they used to do that all the time. There's so many hackers working at Facebook. There's so many hackers working at Twitter. Like, it's a boon. They headhunt them. They try and turn the black hats into white hats. That's a very common thing that's been around since the start of the internet, and they're trying to go, ooh, he's a former hacker. So's Mark Zuckerberg. So's quite a lot of them. So's Steve Wozniak. Like, so many of them all did it. Right, but I don't hear you complaining about them. You're only pointing the finger when it's somebody right-wing that's trying to control government overreach. I've just read that. Known for hiring hackers, according to Wired. That same year, an individual using a Telegram alias linked to Coristine reportedly sought out a cyber attack for hire service. Naughty, naughty. One of Coristine's ventures, Tesla.sexy. See? Oh, good God. But before I go on, I don't know if this was Big Balls himself. But another member of the Doge team done something. I think it was either Big Balls or someone else in the Doge team. I'll need to double check, but this was hilarious. They created a Substack that was behind a paywall where it's like, oh yeah, you can pay $1,000 a month or you can pay $10,000 for the entire year, because he knew that there were going to be journalists out there that were going to that wanted to dig up as much dirt as they could on all of the Doge team to try and destroy them, because all the lefty journalists are getting all their money taken away now with USAID and everything else. And basically, I don't know, and one of the journalists paid it, yeah, I'm going to get so much dirt on this Doge guy, and it was blank. The Substack was blank. And he did it because he knew journalists were going to be looking, so he was trying to make some money. And I'm sorry, I don't care who you are, that's fucking funny. And it's also clever. I hope he buys himself a Tesla. Registered when he was just 16, it manages dozens of web domains, including Russian-registered sites. One of these, still operational, offers Healthy, an AI-powered Discord bot operating in Russia, which could present security clearance challenges per Wired. Coristine worked at Neuralink, another Musk-run enterprise, before joining Doge, where he has reportedly participated in meetings reviewing government personnel and code. Doge, which was mandated by the election result, has already been responsible for some of the biggest changes to the US government in years, calling for the US Agency of International Development, USAID, also known as just a giant money laundering operation, to be dismantled and its services moved to the State Department. It claims to have saved $1 billion a day in spending based on budget cuts alone, because once the government gets in, they'll make an excuse to send money for anything, but you'll find out that the money that is being sent is to their friends. It's just basically a giant nepotism network. That's all it is, to basically steal as much tax money as they can. Like, that's what they all do. That's what government is now. It's just a license to fucking print money, literally. Because that's what they do. They print money all the time. and devalue your savings and your wages. However, the organisation is solely advisory and is not a full part of the federal government. All recommendations it makes must be approved by President Trump or his cabinet. What people are saying. Elon Musk said on social media in response to Corestein being identified, "Can't believe they doxed another Doge team member." Former FBI agent E.J. Hilbert told Wired on Thursday, "If I was doing the background investigation on him, I would probably have recommended against hiring him for the work he's doing. I'm not opposed to the idea of cleaning up the government, but I am questioning the people that are doing it." What happens next? Doge continues to make sweeping changes in the federal government, with Musk spearheading cuts to US aid and DEI practices. So that's the rundown of Big Balls. It's obviously not covering, they found his social media accounts and all the spicy racist like things that he said, and he did get fired from the Doge team, but then what happened was Elon Musk went, let's not do all that stuff because that's what leftists did, and the way it works, and definitely the way it works here in my office, is anything that my staff do or say outside of the office is none of my business, unless I call any of them nonsense or something like that. Then that's a sacking. But what they do outside of work is none of my business. And like, good lord, probably considering the political opinions of some of them, that's probably a good thing. Fortunate for them, but yeah, so he basically went, let's not do that leftist nonsense, and as far as I know, he is back in the Doge team. He's now back. He's cleaned up his act a little, and he's now, like the rest of us, where he's racist in secret. Right, but yeah, I like the Doge team. I like the fact that USAID has been dismantled. I like the fact that basically everybody is discovering that the government was just a giant way to steal money. Like that fucking shrimps running on treadmills shit, which I thought that, remember all those meme tweets that were going around going, "Oh, I've just been fired from my job at Lockheed Martin. It was my job to stick the coexist stickers to the F-35s." Like that, like all that. See that one about the shrimp running on the treadmill? I thought that was another joke tweet. It turns out that that was real. Millions and millions of dollars to find out how fast a shrimp can run on a fucking treadmill. Right, that's just, what they do is they make up bullshit projects like that and go, we need money, and then USAID would go, okay, and just give them the money, and then they pocket the money. But it would turn out that someone that actually works at the stupid shrimp project was probably personal friends with someone that worked at USAID. That's what the government is. It's a giant network of nepotism that's there to steal your money. You see, the game plan is to get the money out of the citizens' pocket and put it into your pocket. Like, that's it. That's what they try and do. Which is why Doge is great. And please, but the Ron Paul thing, letting Ron Paul audit the IRS, please, Musk, please.